My sister is marrying my cheating ex, and my parents threatened to cut my college fund if I didn't attend. Hey everyone! I spend so much time finding these stories for you. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world and helps keep this journey going strong. Let's grow together. Now, let's start the video. OP starts by saying, Alright, so, I 28 female used to think I had my life together. I was engaged to Mike 30 million, my boyfriend of 5 years. We weren't a perfect couple or anything, but I really thought we were solid. I mean, we'd been together so long, and we had this whole future planned out. It wasn't like a dream relationship, but it was ours, you know? We'd been engaged for 2 years, and had started planning this sweet summer wedding. Nothing fancy or expensive, just something simple with our closest friends and family. I spent hours picking out flowers, researching venues, and pinning wedding dresses on Pinterest. Mike wasn't super involved, but I just thought, typical guy stuff. He'd roll his eyes at centerpieces and say, just tell me where to stand and what to wear. That should have been a red flag, but I was too busy being in love to notice. Everything seemed fine. Well, as fine as it can be when you're juggling wedding planning, work, and life. I was stressed, but excited. Then, out of nowhere, 3 months before the wedding, my entire world came crashing down. One day, I get this DM from a mutual friend. We weren't super close, but she was someone I trusted. Her message said, Hey, I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I think you need to know. Attached were screenshots of Mike flirting with another woman. It wasn't just casual banter either, it was straight up romantic. I remember staring at my phone, frozen. I just kept thinking, this has to be a mistake. But the screenshots didn't lie. The texts were unmistakable. Mike wasn't just flirting, he was cheating. And it wasn't some random one-night stand. This was someone he'd been talking to for months. Months of planning our wedding while sneaking around with another woman. At first, I didn't confront him. I needed time to process. Was I too boring? Did I miss some giant red flag? Was I not enough for him? The next day, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I showed Mike the screenshots and asked him to explain himself. At first, he denied it, saying it was just harmless fun and that it didn't mean anything. But when I pressed him, he finally admitted it. He said, It's not what you think. We didn't do anything. Oh, because emotional cheating is so much better? I was furious. I told him to pack his stuff and leave. He begged me to forgive him, saying he'd do anything to fix this. But there was nothing to fix. How do you come back from that? How do you trust someone again after they've shattered your heart into a million pieces? Calling off the wedding was humiliating. I had to contact everyone and explain that it wasn't happening anymore. The pitying looks, the awkward conversations, it was unbearable. But at least I thought I could move on. Mike left town shortly after, and I figured that was the end of it. What I didn't know was that this was just the beginning. The real betrayal? That was yet to come. And it wasn't from Mike. A year after the breakup, I was finally starting to feel like myself again. Healing wasn't a straight line. It was a mess of good days and soul-crushing ones. But I was holding it together. My best friend Jake, a 29 male, made sure of that. He wasn't the kind of guy to let me wallow. Whenever I'd spiral into what-ifs or start blaming myself for Mike's infidelity, Jake would shut it down with a well-timed fuck that guy or a hilarious distraction. So when my younger sister Lily, a 25 female, called that afternoon, I didn't think much of it. She sounded bubbly, too bubbly, like she'd just won a game show. Big news! Dinner at mom and dad's tonight, okay? You're gonna love it. I wasn't super close to Lily, but she had her moments. I figured she'd landed a promotion or was finally dating someone who wasn't a walking red flag. Fine, I thought. One family dinner won't kill me. When I pulled up to my parents' house, I immediately felt like something was off. My mom opened the door with a smile that looked like it had been glued on. Hey, sweetheart, she said, pulling me into a stiff hug. My dad waved from his usual spot on the couch, half ignoring me as he sipped his drink. Classic dad. But it was Lily who really set me on edge. She was practically vibrating with excitement. Her grin so wide it made my stomach turn. Wow, you're in a good mood, I said cautiously as I slipped off my coat. Lily just giggled, brushing past me. You'll see, she said, her tone so sappy it made my teeth ache. Wes sat down for dinner, and at first it was business as usual. My mom rattled on about her garden, my dad grunted approval every so often, and Lily kept sneaking glances at me like she was sitting on a secret. I tried to ignore it, focusing on my plate, but then Lily stood up and tapped her glass with a fork. I have an announcement, she said, her voice trembling with excitement. Here we go. She took a deep breath, and I braced myself for something dumb, like her adopting another rescue hamster, or landing a spot in some overpriced yoga retreat. But then she said it. I'm engaged. The table erupted into congratulations, and I clapped along, forcing a smile. Wow, that's amazing. Who's the lucky guy? Lily beamed at me, her eyes locking onto mine like a predator zeroing in on prey. Mike, she said, her voice dripping with pride. The air left the room. I blinked, sure I'd misheard her. Mike? I repeated, the name tasting bitter in my mouth. Yeah, Mike. We've been seeing each other for a while now. He proposed last week. My chest tightened as her words sank in. My ex-fiancé. The man who cheated on me. The man I'd spent the last year trying to forget. And now, my sister's fiancé. The room spun. My parents sat there, watching me carefully, their faces tight with uncomfortable smiles. They knew. How long? I croaked. Lily's grin faltered for a second, but she quickly recovered, shrugging nonchalantly. A while. We got close after, you two broke up. It just happened. It just happened. Like accidentally spilling coffee or missing a turn on the highway. You're joking, I said, my voice shaking. You're telling me you've been sneaking around with my ex and now you expect me to what? Celebrate this? My mom jumped in calm. Sweetheart, we didn't want to tell you right away. We knew it would be hard for you to hear. Hard for me to hear? I repeated, my voice rising. You knew about this, and you didn't think to warn me? You just sprung it on me over mashed potatoes? Lily reached out. I know it's a lot, but Mike and I are in love. I really hope you can understand. My vision blurred with tears as I stood up, my chair screeching against the hardwood floor. You're disgusting, all of you. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. Now wait a minute. My dad started, but I was already grabbing my bag and heading for the door. I slammed it behind me, the sound echoing in the chilly night air. My hands shook as I climbed into my car. The tears came fast and hot, blurring the streetlights as I sped away. When I got home, I collapsed onto my couch and called Jake. He picked up on the second ring. I tried to explain, but the words came out in choked bursts. Lily, engaged. Mike, wait, Jake said, his tone sharpening. You're Mike. The Mike? Yes! I sobbed, the anger and disbelief pouring out of me. She's marrying him, Jake. And my parents just sat there like it was totally normal. He said, what the actual fuck? I let out a bitter laugh, wiping my face. They think I'm supposed to just be okay with it, like I'm supposed to smile and clap and go to the effing wedding. You don't owe them shit, Jake said firmly. If they think you're gonna roll over for this, they don't know you. He was right. They didn't know me, but they were about to find out. After that nightmare dinner, things only got worse. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, calls, voicemails. Lily kept sending me these long, rambling messages about how she never wanted to hurt me and how their relationship was unexpected but real. My parents were no better. They tried to guilt trip me, saying I was being selfish and immature for not supporting Lily's happiness. They kept saying things like, love is complicated, and you can't control who you fall in love with. It was disgusting. I ignored them for a while, but one evening my dad called me and said, if you don't come to the wedding, I'll have to reconsider helping with your grad school. That's when it clicked. They weren't just pressuring me to attend. They were trying to control me. I remember sitting there, feeling my blood boil. Grad school was my dream, and I'd worked so hard to get where I was. But now, they were using it as leverage to force me to accept something I couldn't stomach. I felt trapped. That night, I went to Jake's place. He took one look at me and knew something was up. They're not letting it go, are they? He asked, handing me a drink. I told him everything. The endless texts, the guilt tripping, and my dad's ultimatum. Jake listened quietly, shaking his head. When I finished, he leaned back and said, they're pushing you because they think you'll cave. They think you'll put up with their shit because you always have. But you don't have to. I stared at him. What am I supposed to do? If I don't go, they'll cut me off. If I do go, I'm letting them win. He said, you don't have to play by their rules. Go to the wedding, sure, but don't go quietly. If they want you there so badly, make them regret it. At first, I thought he was joking, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. They wanted me to pretend everything was fine, to sit there and smile while they celebrated their betrayal. But I wasn't going to do that. Over the next few days, I started putting together a plan. It wasn't just about ruining the wedding, although let's be honest, that was part of it. It was about taking back my power. They'd taken so much from me. My trust, my self-worth, my peace of mind. This was my chance to show them I wasn't someone they could walk all over. The first thing I did was go through my old messages and emails. I found everything. Texts between Mike and me during our engagement, screenshots my friend had sent me of his cheating, and even photos from the wedding planning I'd been so excited about. I compiled it all into a little folder. It was painful to look at, but I knew it was necessary. Jake helped me put the finishing touches on my plan. They think this is their big day, he said, smirking. But it's about to be your stage. By the time the wedding rolled around, I wasn't just angry, I was ready. The day of the wedding felt like stepping into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Everything about it screamed a perfect fairy tale. The venue was gorgeous. It looked like something straight out of a wedding magazine. But for me, it was a battlefield. I walked in with Jake by my side. He'd insisted on coming, and thank God he did. "You've got this," he whispered as we made our way through the crowd. "Don't let them see you sweat." I nodded, but my heart was pounding. I wasn't here to celebrate. I was here to take back everything they'd stolen from me. The ceremony itself was excruciating. Watching Lily walk down the aisle, glowing in her white dress, made my stomach churn. She looked radiant, sure, but all I could see was the betrayal. And Mike? He had this smug grin on his face, like he'd won some prize. I couldn't believe I'd ever loved him. The worst part was my parents. They were sitting in the front row, beaming like proud parents at a school play. I caught my mom's eye at one point, and she gave me this little smile as if to say, "See? Everything worked out." It took everything in me not to storm out right then and there. But I didn't. I stayed. I waited. When the ceremony ended, the reception began, and that's when things started to heat up. As the maid of honor, yes, they had the audacity to ask me. I was expected to give a speech. I'd agreed to it, of course. How could I not? But they had no idea what was coming. The room was buzzing with laughter and clinking glasses when I stepped up to the mic. I could feel everyone's eyes on me. Lily was smiling, Mike looked indifferent, and my parents were watching expectantly. I cleared my throat and started with the usual polite fluff. "Hi, everyone," I said, forcing a smile. "For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lily's older sister. I'm so happy to be here today to celebrate this unique love story." There was some polite laughter from the crowd, but I could see Lily's smile falter slightly. Good. I took a deep breath and continued. You know, weddings are about honesty and commitment. They're about building a foundation of trust and love. I paused, letting the words sink in. And I think it's important that everyone here knows the truth about the foundation of this particular relationship. The room went silent, dead silent. All eyes were on me. I turned to Lily and Mike, my voice steady but sharp. Mike and I were engaged. We were planning our wedding when I found out he was cheating on me. And do you know who he was cheating with? My sister. The same sister who sat by my side while I cried over him, pretending to be supportive. The crowd erupted into gasps and whispers. Lily's face turned ghost white, and Mike's smug expression disappeared completely. My parents looked like they'd just been slapped. I wasn't done. They didn't start dating after we broke up. No, they were seeing each other while Mike and I were still together. And my parents? They knew. They kept it from me because they thought it would hurt my feelings. Well, guess what? It did. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder I'd prepared. For anyone who's curious, I have the proof right here. Screenshots, texts, and even photos. Feel free to take a look. I handed the folder to a nearby table, knowing it would spread like wildfire. Then I turned back to the mic. So, to Lily and Mike, I wish you all the best. You deserve each other. I put the mic down, grabbed my bag, and walked out. Jake was waiting for me outside. Holy shit, he said, grinning. That was epic. I let out a shaky breath, my hands trembling. Do you think it was too much? He laughed. Too much? That was perfect. They wanted you there? Well, you gave them a show. As we walked to the car, I could hear the chaos erupting behind us. Guests were shouting, people were leaving, and I swear I heard Lily crying. But I didn't care. For the first time in over a year, I felt like I could breathe again. Walking out of that wedding was the most liberating moment of my life. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to make everyone happy or swallowing my pain to keep the peace. I left behind the chaos, but I knew it wasn't over. Sure enough, by the time Jake and I were halfway home, my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. My parents, Lily, and even some distant relatives were calling and texting nonstop. I ignored them all. Jake looked over at me and said, "You don't owe them an explanation. Let them stew." I nodded. Part of me wanted to read the messages, to see what they were saying, but another part of me just wanted to forget they existed. When I finally checked later that night, the messages were exactly what I expected, equal parts outrage and guilt-tripping. Lily's first text read, "How could you do this to me? You ruined my wedding," followed by, "I'll never forgive you for embarrassing me like that." Mike, surprisingly, stayed silent. I guess he knew better than to reach out. My mom left me a furious voicemail full of disappointment. "You crossed the line. This is family. And you embarrassed us all. Don't bother calling until you're ready to apologize. My dad was more direct, texting, "You've destroyed this family. Don't expect our support moving forward." I cried that night, not because I regretted what I did, but because I realized how little they cared about me. My parents, my sister, even Mike, they had all betrayed me, and now they were acting like I was the problem. Jake was right. I didn't owe them anything anymore. I don't really feel sorry, and I'm not going to apologize. Update 1. Hey guys, it's been a few months since the wedding, and honestly, wanted to thank all of you for the support and advice. Reading your comments gave me the strength to hold my ground when it felt like my entire family was against me. So, what happened after the wedding? Well, let's just say the aftermess was exactly what you'd expect. Lily went into full victim mode, telling everyone I ruined her special day. She even posted this long, dramatic story on social media about how her jealous sister couldn't let her be happy. But here's the thing. She left out the part where she stole my fiancé and lied to me for months. A few of her friends who were at the wedding reached out to me privately to apologize. They said they had no idea about the backstory and were disgusted by her behavior. Some of them have even cut ties with her. Mike, on the other hand, has been surprisingly quiet. I haven't heard from him directly, but I've heard through the grapevine that his life has taken a hit. The drama from the wedding spread quickly, and it's messed with his professional reputation. He's a real estate agent, and apparently some clients dropped him after finding out about the scandal. Karma works fast, huh? And Lily and Mike's marriage? Let's just say the cracks are already showing. Family members who still talk to me have told me they're constantly fighting. I guess the reality of what they did, and the consequences, is finally sinking in. Honestly, I can't imagine how they're going to make it work when their entire relationship is built on lies and betrayal. Part of me wants to feel bad for Lily, but I can't because she made her choices. As for my parents, they're furious with me. They've made it clear they blame me for the family falling apart. My mom even tried to organize a family meeting to repair the damage, but I refused. I told her I wasn't interested in fixing a relationship with people who supported Lily and Mike while throwing me under the bus. She didn't take it well and called me selfish and immature. Typical. I've gone no contact with Lily and Mike and have drastically reduced my contact with my parents. It's been hard, but honestly, it feels freeing. I spent so much of my life trying to make them happy, trying to be the good daughter, and they repaid me by siding with the people who hurt me the most. I'm done being their doormat. Jake has been my rock through all of this. He's constantly reminding me that I deserve better and helping me focus on my own goals. I've started working a new part-time job to save up for grad school since my parents are no longer supporting me financially. It's been tough, but I'm figuring it out. For the first time, I feel like I'm building a life on my own terms, without anyone else holding me back. Oh, and grad school? It's happening. I've been applying for scholarships and exploring other funding options, and things are looking promising. Looking back, do I regret what I did at the wedding? Not even a little. They wanted me to sit there and celebrate their lies, to pretend everything was okay. But I refused. For once, I stood up for myself, and I'll never apologize for that. If they think I'm the villain, fine. Let me be the villain in their story. At least I'm not the fool anymore. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. It's been a wild few months. Thanks again for all the support. You guys helped me find the strength to reclaim my story, and for that, I'll always be grateful. Final update. Yo everyone, it's update time. You won't believe what happened. Last I told you, my family and Lily were in full meltdown mode after the wedding. Guess whose chaos didn't stop? If you thought Mike's mess ended at I do, think again. This dude's story just keeps getting wilder. So, after the wedding, I didn't hear from Mike directly. No texts, no calls, nothing. At first I thought, maybe he's finally grown a conscience and is staying in his lane. But apparently, that wasn't the case. Turns out, he's been busy doing what he does best, messing things up. About 2 months after the wedding, I got a message from a mutual acquaintance. She said, "You're not going to believe this, but Mike's already back to his old tricks." I didn't even have to ask what she meant. Apparently, Mike has been messaging other women again, and not just casual flirting, full-blown, late-night, inappropriate conversations. The best part? Some of these women are married. Classic Mike. At first I thought, does Lily know? But from what I've gathered, she has no idea. She's still trying to play the role of the doting wife, posting cringy Instagram photos with captions like, "Married to my soulmate." Meanwhile, her soulmate is out here sliding into DMs like it's his full-time job. Things started to unravel even more when I heard through the family grapevine that Lily and Mike have been fighting constantly. Apparently, Mike's behavior at work has been raising eyebrows too. Remember how I mentioned he's a real estate agent? Well, word got out about the wedding drama. From what I've heard, his boss had to have a serious talk with him about professionalism. Karma, anyone? But here's where it gets even better. One of the women Mike was messaging, she works in the same industry as him, and when she found out he was married, she didn't just block him. She forwarded the screenshots to a few mutual colleagues. Now, people in his professional circle are starting to see the cracks in his charming guy persona. Honestly, I don't feel bad for him. He made his bed, and now he's lying in it. I can't lie, knowing all this gave me a weird sense of satisfaction. Not because I want Lily to be hurt. Okay, maybe a little, but because it proves what I've known all along. Mike hasn't changed and never will. He's the same lying, cheating coward he's always been, and now it's catching up to him. I still haven't reached out to Lily about any of this. Part of me feels like I should. Maybe she deserves to know. But another part of me thinks, this is her problem now. She made her choices, and she's the one who decided to build a life with him, knowing how he treated me. She ignored the red flags, and now she's living in the storm she invited. Do I feel sorry for her? Honestly, not really. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that people like Mike don't suddenly wake up one day and decide to be decent. They just move on to their next target. Lily thought she was the exception, but as it turns out, she's just another chapter in his story of destruction. As for me, I'm doing better every day. Knowing that Mike is showing his true colors to everyone makes it easier to move on. He's not my problem anymore. If anything, I feel relieved that I dodged a lifetime of this nonsense. Let Lily and Mike deal with the fallout. They deserve each other. Thanks again for all the support, Reddit. You've helped me see things more clearly, and honestly, it's been comforting to know I'm not alone in this. If anything else happens with Mike, and let's be real, it probably will, I'll keep you posted. Until then, I'm going to keep focusing on myself and my future, because I deserve better than the mess I left behind.